Jokes apart, Lee Min-ho is my forever partner and I love him so much.
Lovely viewers, gather around because today's story feels like stepping into the middle of a moment no one expected. One filled with warmth, sincerity, and a surprising confession that sent fans into a frenzy. Imagine watching a live TV interview, casually enjoying the conversation, when suddenly Hye Kyo, the elegant queen of K-drama herself, drops a phrase that instantly freezes the room. She refers to Lee Min-ho as her forever partner. Now, before your heart start racing too fast, let's walk through exactly what happened, and why this moment became one of the most talked about highlights in Korean entertainment. It all began during a calm, relaxed interview, the kind where the atmosphere feels cozy and genuine, not scripted or rushed. The host asked Hye Kyo about the people who had influenced her throughout her career, both personally and professionally. She smiled gently, thinking for a moment, before mentioning several senior actors she admired. Then, almost unexpectedly, the host shifted the conversation toward younger colleagues, those she had crossed paths with, learned from, or held close to her heart. When Lee Min-ho's name came up, the studio audience perked up with curiosity, and even the host leaned in a little closer. Hye Kyo laughed softly, the kind of laugh that signals a fond memory. She spoke about their mutual respect, their shared experiences navigating the entertainment world, and the comforting understanding they always seemed to have whenever they met at events or gatherings. But then came the moment that made everyone sit up. With a thoughtful smile, she said, "If I had to describe Lee Min-ho in one phrase, I'd call him my forever partner. Someone whose presence in my journey feels constant, even if we don't see each other often." Lovely viewers, imagine the reaction. The interviewer's eyes widened, the audience murmured in surprise, and social media exploded within minutes. But Hye Kyo didn't look flustered or regretful. Instead, she explained further with the calm sincerity she's known for. She clarified that she wasn't referring to romance or implying anything dramatic. To her, forever partner was about emotional constancy, someone whose impact doesn't fade with time. She spoke about how Lee Min-ho supported her during some difficult periods, offering quiet encouragement, respectful friendship, and moments of grounding when she needed them most. She appreciated his authenticity, his empathy, and his ability to understand the pressures of fame without judgment. According to her, Lee Min-ho was one of the rare people who made her feel safe to express vulnerability. Someone who understood her silence, not just her words. Someone who stayed connected to her in a space where most connections fade quickly. Lovely viewers, aren't those the best kinds of bonds? Not loud, not performative, not exaggerated, just real, steady, and emotionally nourishing. She went on to say that when she first met him, she saw not just a rising star but someone with a grounded heart. Over the years, their conversations, however brief, always left her feeling understood. She said he reminded her of the importance of balance, of breathing through chaos, of staying true to her core even when the world demanded something else. When the interviewer asked her why she chose such a strong phrase, Hye Kyo smiled shyly and replied, "Because some people stay with you in ways that aren't visible to the public. Lee Min-ho is one of those people for me." Lovely viewers, imagine being Lee Min-ho hearing this. And in fact, when clips from the interview reached him, insiders said he was both humbled and touched, especially since he had recently shared publicly how much her guidance and presence had meant to him. Fans instantly felt the emotional symmetry. Two stars appreciating one another deeply in ways that went beyond spotlight moments or industry expectations. The chemistry between them has always fascinated fans. Not romantic chemistry necessarily, but an emotional resonance that comes across whenever they interact. They carry a shared softness, a quiet respect, a mutual understanding that feels rare in an industry filled with masks and pressure. And that's exactly why Hye Kyo's words held so much weight. By calling Lee Min-ho her forever partner, she didn't claim ownership or imply anything dramatic. Instead, she gave him a title reserved for people who feel like permanent fixtures in one's emotional landscape. People who help anchor you, who remind you of who you are, who show up not loudly but consistently, whose presence leaves a lasting imprint. Lovely viewers, think about your own life. Think about the people who may not be with you every day but whose presence feels eternal in your heart. Friend who understood you deeply. A mentor who guided you at the right moment. Someone whose wisdom or kindness still echoes in your mind. That's the kind of relationship song Hye Kyo was talking about. The interview ended with the audience clapping warmly, and the internet buzzing non-stop. Fans celebrated the heartfelt honesty. Celebrities reacted with admiration, and the phrase "forever partner" trended for days. Not because it hinted at romance, but because it reminded everyone that deep emotional bonds can exist quietly, beautifully, and with profound meaning. Lovely viewers, that's the magic of this story. Two icons, two hearts, two journeys, intertwined not through sensational headlines but through genuine respect and emotional companionship. And as we follow this unfolding narrative, one thing becomes clear. Sometimes the most powerful relationships aren't defined by labels or public declarations. They're defined by the quiet, unwavering presence of someone who stays with you in spirit, even when the world isn't watching. The world listened, reacted, and then held its breath, waiting to see how Lee Min-ho himself would respond to such an unexpected, heartfelt confession. And he did respond. Quietly at first, then more openly as the wave of support grew. Close sources revealed that when Lee Min-ho first watched the clip, he paused, replayed her words, and sat there for a moment in thoughtful silence. According to people around him, he seemed deeply moved. Not excited in a dramatic way, but touched in the kind of way that reaches deeper than applause or fame. Lovely viewers, imagine someone you admire calling you their forever partner. Not romantically, not dramatically, but with pure sincerity. That kind of acknowledgement hits the heart differently. And for Lee Min-ho, it seemed to stir something warm and nostalgic. A few days later, during a separate promotional interview, a journalist brought up Song Hye Kyo's statement. They quoted her directly, and you could almost see the subtle shift in his expression. Slightly shy, slightly surprised, but undeniably softened. He didn't rush to answer. Instead, he took a breath, smiled gently, and said that her words were one of the kindest things anyone has ever said about me in public. The interviewer naturally asked what the phrase meant to him. Lee Min-ho explained that being called a forever partner by someone he respected so deeply felt like being recognized for who he truly was. Not just the celebrity, not the polished persona, but the person underneath it all. He said that Song Hye Kyo had always had a way of seeing people clearly, beyond their roles or reputations, and that her words were a reflection of the bond they had built quietly over the years. Lovely viewers. He even admitted he never expected her to say it publicly. In a world where every word gets dissected, he thought she would choose something safe, something light. But instead she said something meaningful. And that, he confessed, made it even more special. He continued by describing how their relationship has always been rooted in mutual understanding. Two people navigating the same turbulent world of fame while clinging to the parts of themselves that feel real. He said that whenever they crossed paths, there was always an ease, a familiarity, almost like reconnecting with someone who had known you in a different lifetime. Not loud, not intense, just warm. Lovely viewers, that softness is what fans can feel, even through the screen. After the interview aired, social media buzzed once again, but this time from both sides. Fans noticed that the dynamic between them felt balanced, genuine, and unforced. Song Hye Kyo offered her heart's truth in the most subtle way, and Lee Min-ho responded with equal sincerity, like two people speaking the same quiet emotional language. Then came the moment that surprised everyone even more. During a fan meet event in Seoul, someone asked Lee Min-ho if he had a forever partner of his own. The audience giggled playfully, clearly referencing Song Hye Kyo's comment. Lee Min-ho paused, laughed under his breath and replied, "If someone calls you that, it's only right to honor it." Lovely viewers, the crowd erupted. His response wasn't flirty, nor was it evasive. It was respectful, warm, and full of unspoken meaning. It was as if he was saying, "She gave me a name, and I accept it with gratitude." That moment alone deepened the narrative, not into romantic speculation, but into a genuine understanding that some connections simply transcend labels. Behind the scenes, Insiders even shared that Lee Min-ho reached out to Song Hye Kyo after the interview to thank her personally. Their conversation was described as heartfelt. Two people acknowledging the weight of the words exchanged, two people appreciating the trust they've built, and two people reaffirming a connection that clearly means something to both. Lovely viewers, think of the beauty in that. In an industry dominated by competition, noise, and constant performance, these two stars built something quiet, sincere, and enduring. A bond that doesn't need daily conversations or public displays to stay intact. A bond anchored in respect, gratitude, and deep emotional understanding. As fans, we often look for grand love stories or dramatic twists. But sometimes the most beautiful connections are the quiet ones. Steady, warm, and unwavering. The kind that feels like home, even from a distance. The kind where two people simply get each other. And that's exactly what this moment between Song Hye Kyo and Lee Min-ho has revealed. A connection that doesn't demand explanation, yet speaks volumes in the simplest phrases. Lovely viewers, this story isn't over. If anything, each heartfelt word from both sides only adds more depth to a bond that continues to captivate the world. Not because of romance, but because of its sincerity. What happened afterward painted an even clearer picture of a bond that feels enduring, sincere, and quietly powerful. The world watched as both stars continued living their lives, yet their interactions, both subtle and public, continued to echo the warmth of that forever partner moment. Not long after Lee Min-ho's fan meet response went viral, entertainment reporters began revisiting old clips, photos, and behind-the-scenes moments where the two stars crossed paths. Suddenly, moments that once felt ordinary now glowed with new meaning. Fans noticed how their smiles softened just a little more when they greeted each other. How their energy shifted whenever they stood side by side. How their conversations, brief as they were, seemed to hold more depth than the cameras could capture. Lovely viewers, it became clear that this wasn't a connection born overnight. It had roots. Deep, patient roots planted long before either of them said those heartfelt words. In the weeks that followed, a well-known Korean talk show invited Lee Min-ho and asked him about the forever partner situation once more. But this time, the question wasn't pointed or sensational. Instead, the host simply asked what he believed makes a person deserving of such a title. Lee Min-ho didn't dodge the question. He didn't laugh it off. He answered with quiet thoughtfulness. A forever partner, he said, is someone who stays with you in ways you don't always recognize at first. Someone who understands your heart, even when you don't explain everything. Someone whose presence feels steady, even when life feels unpredictable. The audience listened, and the host nodded, clearly moved. And though he didn't mention Song Hye Kyo by name in that moment, everyone knew exactly who he was referring to. His words felt like a gentle acknowledgement, one that didn't need repetition or clarification. Meanwhile, Song Hye Kyo, in her own calm way, continued to speak with the same affection whenever Lee Min-ho's name came up in interviews. During a promotional event in Japan, a fan boldly asked if she still stood by her statement. She smiled, her eyes warming instantly, and said, "Yes, the people who support you in real ways remain forever." The audience erupted, and she bowed shyly, as if fully aware of the waves her words were making yet choosing not to quiet them. Lovely viewers, moments like these painted a story without needing a script. They revealed something pure, something rooted in mutual appreciation and deep emotional resonance. And then came the moment that made fans' hearts flutter even more. During a charity gala, a private event, yet one that always attracts attention, Song Hye Kyo and Lee Min-ho both attended as special guests. Though there were no grand gestures, those who were there couldn't help but notice the warmth in their interaction. They greeted each other with genuine smiles, spoke for longer than expected, and shared soft laughter that felt like two people reconnecting after a long day, not two celebrities under the spotlight. A guest later described their interaction as effortlessly comfortable, saying they looked like two people who simply enjoyed being in each other's company, unaffected by cameras or whispers. Another witness mentioned that during a group conversation, Lee Min-ho subtly guided her away from a crowded area when fans surged forward, an instinctive gesture of protection rather than performance. Lovely viewers, these aren't the actions of people caught in rumors. They're the actions of individuals connected on a deeper emotional wavelength. Following the event, Korean media outlets began referring to them not as potential love interests, but as soul-level partners, a phrase that perfectly captured the essence of their bond. They weren't being boxed into romance. They weren't being pushed into speculation. Instead, the public recognized that some relationships defy traditional definitions. In a surprising twist, fans began sending messages to both stars, thanking them for showing that meaningful bonds can exist without labels. Messages poured in praising the respect they displayed for each other, the emotional maturity of their words, and the gentle way they both acknowledged the impact they had on one another. What's even more beautiful, lovely viewers, is that neither star attempted to downplay the connection. Neither distanced themselves nor brushed off their earlier comments. They let the story breathe naturally, as if understanding that authenticity needs no defense. And perhaps the most touching part came when a reporter asked Hye Kyo what she wished for Lee Min-ho in the future. She paused thoughtfully and said, "I hope he finds peace in everything he does. If he's happy, then I'm happy." Such a simple sentence, yet one that carried so much depth. Lovely viewers, think about that kind of care. Think about the purity of wishing someone joy with no expectation in return. That is what makes this bond extraordinary. And when Lee Min-ho was asked a similar question during an online fan Q&A, he responded with an equally heartfelt sentiment. "I hope the people who support me feel supported in return, including the ones who have walked beside me for a long time." Again, he didn't name her. He didn't have to. The meaning lingered in the silence. Lovely viewers, as we continue unraveling this heartfelt saga, one thing becomes unmistakably clear. Hye Kyo and Lee Min-ho share a connection that runs deeper than interviews and public moments. It's a relationship built on mutual respect, shared experiences, emotional understanding, and a bond that neither of them tries to define, but both of them quietly honor.